Hey, here we are again. Carving and conversation. We're going to start again. So, got some things to talk about today. Um, just fun stuff. Again, this is not a political show, so if you coming in looking for politics, this is just talking about life and how things are gonna, just how things are going. Lots of things have happened in my life that have made things very difficult. Some good news is coming out of life right now. So let's talk about it. Let's get started with this whole thing. So let me lower this. Okay. There we go. There's all the equipment. There's our little guy. And you can see it is our little guy. It's got the U at the bottom. Right now you can see we've got the head, we've got the shape of the body, we've got the feet, the legs, the butt, the gut. So it's looking okay. Don't forget my glasses because I am blind. Not sure we're going to need the gloves quite yet. So the next step is going to be to actually fix the feet. And when we deal with the feet, what we're going to do is the feet don't actually go straight. They go at kind of an angle. Yeah, pencil's not cooperating very well. So they'll look something like this. So the heels will be further back than the feet. And what we're going to do is we're going to carve into those feet until they actually show up correctly. So anyway, it's been a tough week. I don't know if we broke up permanently or not. But my girlfriend and I, basically, I'd had enough, and I told her I think it's better if we just break up. And it's hard. I'm not happy about it, but I keep sitting back and thinking to myself, there's just a lot of things that she does that I really don't like, I really don't appreciate, and there's lots of things that she doesn't appreciate me the way I want to be appreciated. And it's been like this for a really long time. This isn't something that just started. This has been like this for probably over a year. And I've always kind of broken up with her. She's never broken up with me, but I have broken up with her. And she's always managed. And the problem is, I do love her. That is a thing. I do love her. So it's really hard for me to just to figure, this whole thing is over. And for me, it's very difficult. But I decided I'd try it again. She did the same thing to me again this week, where she's just inconsiderate of my time and the things I have to do. And so I just finally said, you know what? She just didn't understand why I became angry at her. And I was just like, there's no consideration. There's no consideration for my time or what I have to do. She doesn't worry about what I have to do, how my life works. She's just, for her, it's just not that big of a deal. And I think that's what really gets me. That's what really drives me absolutely nutso about her. And I finally said, let's see, how's this look? See how it goes? The feet are kind of, now we got them in the middle, feet in the back. That looks pretty good. So I just decided to break it off. And again, I don't exactly know if it's going to be permanent, because we have a tendency of having these fights and then just getting over them. And this is something that, it's just something that I've kind of got to deal with. Either I go all the way or I don't go all the way. So now we have our feet. I'm going to do a little bit of carving on the stomach and chest, round it out a little bit. I probably shouldn't be doing this until the arms are carved, so I'll give it a little bit of a carving, but not much, because next are going to be the arms. Now the arms are, for me, not my greatest thing in the world. So with the arms, you have the back. Make sure that the back here, you've got the shoulders. Make sure they're about the same width apart. They are. And then from the shoulder, we'll go down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our little guy's hand in his pocket. We do the same side on the other side. This will be kind of the forearm. All right. So that looks okay. Now, the thing I don't want to do is give this guy a lot of muscle. So we're going to, I have a tendency of making bigger arms than I want, and we don't want this guy to be that big. Now when I draw the forearm, we want to make sure they're parallel. This should be parallel to the back. Here's his hands in his pocket. Do the same thing on the other side. What should we look at? Not much. So there we go. To make sure they look kind of good together. They do. They look okay. So the first thing we're going to do is, now this is the difficult part of the carving. When carving this, we need to give, for the pocket, we're going to give just a very light cut here, and then the cut's going to get deeper as we go. Okay? The arm is going to be angular. And I'll show you what I mean in a second here. See, as the hand gets closer to the pocket, it's supposed to look like it's supposed to kind of go into the pocket. We don't want too much separation, but in the back it's supposed to separate a pretty decent size here. And that's what we're doing here. So it actually looks very angular. Now, arms used to be my easiest thing. They got harder. But this is important because this actually starts forming the butt. Now we go over here, we do the same thing on the other side. Just a slight cut here. We get deeper and deeper as we go back. Okay. Get another little cut here. And now you can see how it kind of, as the arm goes, the elbow is out here and then it kind of sinks back in. And when you round that out, it looks good. What it also does is it creates kind of a V, which makes rounding the butt a lot better. And you'll see how well the rounded butt works in a few minutes. So as I speak, I will just go in here and continue to finish this carve while I talk. So right now, as you might assume, I kind of miss her. But I just cannot find any good reason to sit back and say, okay, I made a mistake. I am not seeing what I've done as a mistake. And I think that is something that, and I just find so many reasons why, yeah, well, it's not going to work. I don't know if I should have done that, but. So you can see right now we got a nice little carve in here. And now what we're going to do is, let's make sure the elbow clean up a little bit. Now what we're going to do is round the butt a little bit. So I think that's really the tough part about this whole thing. It's just that I just feel that it wasn't going to work. I don't see a future in this. And it's time to just kind of move on. She's texting me, as she does every time I do this, because I do this every once in a while. I think that's part of our problem too, is I do this. Don't be surprised if she actually texts messages in the middle of this thing, because she usually does text message about now. About 9 o'clock she'll start texting me and telling me things, and I don't know what. See, that's a bad cut. That's okay. I'm not worried. See this garbage here? I'm not worried about that. The reason I'm not worried too much about it is all this stuff here. It's going to go away. See this top layer of the wood has to go away. It's just no good. And then this thing, these legs, they look really funky because I haven't really done anything with them. They're not rounded real well. That's normal. As we go, I'll just continue rounding, and that won't stop. The rounding parts are always going to happen throughout this carving. But right now we got a pretty decent butt. It's not too bad. He's going to be a little heavier guy. I like making fat guys. One of these days, I'll probably, when I'm with you, I'll probably make a thin guy. My next character will be a thin guy. But right now, he's going to be a little heavy. I think the heavy guys, these are caricatures. I love making heavy guys. I think they're funny looking. And that's not a bad butt. It's not a terrible butt. Let's curve this up a little bit to give the butt just a little bit more pronunciation on that. There we go. That's not too bad. Now, again, I'm not a professional at this. This is not like I sell these things. I mean, hopefully one day I will. And I have sold a couple before. All right, now we got to work with the backs. So what we're going to do is where I drew these lines in, I'm going to carve in till below, just to the elbow. And then I am going to give just a cut. I don't want to say too much about why we broke up. I don't want to say what started it. She's had, I want to say it's all her fault. I think her circumstance has really she's had to make life choices that were very difficult, and it's a very tough situation. I think that's what it comes down to. This whole thing is just a very tough situation. That situation has been made tough on me. It's definitely tough on her. One of the things that drives me nuts about her is that, I mean, she keeps telling me, well, you don't know what I'm going through. Yeah, I have. I've had 4 kids. One of my kids has passed away. I mean, to sit back and say I don't understand what you're going through, or you've got it rough than me, it's arrogant. It's just, she's in school, for example, and one of the things, you don't understand how hard it is to pay for school and go to work. Yeah, that's pretty okay. So I've got some problems on the back. Problems, I can fix that with basically what I think I'm going to have to do is sand that back a little bit. So, and that was because I probably should have done the back before I started the arms, but that's okay. When I run into little problems like that, I don't want to cut. In this case, I'm probably going to want to sand this out. Let's curve those arms a little bit. There we go. Got a little bit of hair there. We'll kill that off with sandpaper. Not going to do it now. We'll do it later. because that part of the arm actually looks pretty good. Now, that's the good news. Now, we got to get the front of the arm. Same thing with the front of the arm, except not quite as extreme. It's going, now you're going to see the body begin to shape a little bit. So we're going to come here, put a cut in here, and it's going to be the same way. So the hands, not going to make a deep cut where the hand meets the pocket, and then we're just going to get deeper as we get closer to the mid-arm. And then what we're going to do is basically cut that off. See how that works? So, I kind of understand what she's going through, but she's also got to understand there, you know, I've got a life too. I've definitely got a life too, and she can't just keep pushing me back. And we got family issues. She's got family issues. I mean, it's always about her family, and my family doesn't really count much. I mean, that's not true, but there's very little effort when it comes to my family. Okay, be careful of the finger. This is where I should be wearing a glove, but I'm not. But it is what it is, and it's time. Now, I'm not saying it's permanent. It may not be. Maybe there's something. I mean, we actually had a very good relationship for a while. But, I mean, everything has just gone downhill. And I don't see the point of fighting it anymore. It just, for me right now, it just seems like a waste of time. I mean, she just doesn't seem to be, I don't see her changing. She's got a lot of issues with her kids, and I'm supposed to help do a lot of support with her kids, but I have no say in anything. I mean, that's very difficult for me to accept. I just think it is what it is. And of course, if any of my friends are listening, they're going to sit there and say, well, it's about freaking time. But I don't know. It's just easier said than done, because I do love her. She was, I told her when we said, I said, you were the best and worst thing that's ever happened to me. You were the best in that I loved you so much, and you were the worst in that you make me feel, she does make me feel very bad a lot of the time. And it was very hard to struggle. Let's see. So if I turn, that looks good. So the idea is when I turn to look at the actual arm, I should be able to see the arm. I should be able to see the arm straight on. So you can see, you can. Now we're going to go to the other side. You know what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to talk. So that's what's going on in life. It's kind of crappy. I won't lie. I'm not real happy about things. Being stuck at home. This is the 28th day in a row stuck at home. Really am not liking this. But I really should wear a glove. I'm going to do that. I have to really do it this way too. But that's the bad news. That is the bad news. How about some of the good news? It looks like we are now heading towards the ending of this household deal. Now, that doesn't mean social distancing is over. It's not. And the reality is, social distancing probably will never be over. I think this is going to be something this is going to be something that's going to be around for the rest of our lives in this country. Do I think it's a bad thing? Not really. I mean, I don't know why you'd think it was a bad thing. I mean, disease passes around all the time. It shouldn't be considered a bad thing. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'll give a little bit more of a cut here, make it more even. Handshakes, I think, are very overrated. People washing their hands, that's a habit everyone should be in, but a lot of people aren't. I know this. I've heard people in the restroom not washing their hands. Now what we're going to do is, let's get rid of the extra, round things out here. See how that, you got a little bit of a, then we need to cut down on that, around that a little bit. Okay, do the same thing on the side. So, I mean, that's good. So, they're going to release the plan tomorrow. I can't wait to see it. It's probably not going to be everyone is social, everyone is out. For example, New York is still having major problems. They're getting better, but they're still having major problems. So chances are, when you look at it will be kind of a phased approach. In other words, I think that Idaho is probably going to be able to get out before California. Now what we're going to do is going to make the pocket look a little better. Okay, let's get rid of some of this hair. Here's some more hair. See that little bitty hair there? Get rid of that. Okay, now to do this, what we do is we draw the pocket, we put a little cut in the pocket, very light cut, and then at the wrist, we actually cut into the pocket. That way, the hand looks actually below the pocket. Let me get rid of this here. The hand looks like it's below the pocket, see? We can give it a little bit more of a gradient. There we go. Good. Now we do the same thing on the other side. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. They said it could start as soon as May. I think there's going to be some definite questions as to what businesses can run. For example, I don't see restaurants or movie theaters opening any time soon. I don't see many of us going to a baseball game anytime soon. I think we still got some time before that happens. But at least that's something that's getting us going. And I think Trump is right. People are getting tired of being stuck indoors. So, thank God for the gloves, huh? So I do think it's necessary, and I think it's time for the government to release. Now let's give them a little bit more of a belly. You can see that belly's not quite there. Let's round this out and give them a belly. So it's going to be interesting. I got a feeling a lot of it's going to be main businesses. I would wish they would have better testing still, because I think we should be testing. We should actually know who has antibodies and who doesn't, who has the disease and who doesn't. But we just don't know much about this disease. That's the problem. I mean, we really, even when they sit back and they talk about, oh, they're you know, now we're at 26,000 dead in this country. There's even questions if the people who died of coronavirus. There are some things that just are not clear. And I think it's something like 90% had pre-existing conditions. The one thing that was said was that an individual who died of a heart attack, he had coronavirus, but he didn't die of coronavirus. He died of a heart attack. Now, if you're not seeing, I do little upcuts. Nice little upcuts. And you can see by the way the wood is curling, I'm actually cutting up. That's because from his stomach to his belly. And now you can see he's got a belly. We'll round this belly off a little bit. So I'm really curious. I really have no idea what they're going to say tomorrow. I have absolutely no idea what plan they're going to come up with, how this is going to work. And we're just going to have to see. But here's the question I was asked by my girlfriend before she took off, or ex-girlfriend, or whatever she happens to be. I don't know yet. What's the first thing you want to do? Well, I think the obvious thing is I want to go to work. And the only reason I say I want to go to work is I like people, and it seems like my work, I have a lot more work at home. And I think I have a lot more work at home, not because I actually have more work, but I think I put extra work on me. For example, I increase my projects like crazy. And I think I do that because I feel that I'm not doing enough at home. I still get up at the same time, right? It's not like I'm, sleeping in or anything. That doesn't look bad. This I'm actually gonna go and grab sandpaper at the end of this whole thing and sand that down a little bit. Get that shoulder a little bit. This one doesn't look bad at all. And what I like about my arms are actually not muscle man arms. I still have a problem with creating muscle man arms. Well, these arms aren't muscle man arms, where the guy looks like he could pick up a truck. I don't want this. This guy is just going to be a little hick. He's going to have some blue jeans. Maybe he'll have a tie. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him yet, but we'll see how that goes. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start working a little bit with the head. First thing we're going to do is we're going to shave this down a little bit. Let's round this out a little bit. I don't want to do too much with the face yet. And the head actually takes a while to round up, because the head does look kind of like an egg. And by the way, it's not going to be, no matter what, it's not going to be perfect. It's not. The head is never going to be truly 100% round. That's fine. I'm still learning how to do circles, but we can make it more round than it is. One of the reasons why I like putting hats on characters is you can hide that under the hat. You can't hide it when you actually don't have a hat on. But again, these are caricatures, so I'm not really going to worry too. Now I got to be careful here. I'm not going to worry too much about them, but I do want to round the head a little bit. So we'll go in here. And I got to be careful because it's got to be symmetric. And all these cuts, very short, very sharp cuts. All right, that's not looking bad. This is still a little, it has, okay, this is still kind of hanging. Cut down. It's basically we're bringing the head back to the body. So that's the question I have for you while I work on this. What is it you think you're going to do? Let's just go from the opposite. Let's go as a celebration. As a celebration for this thing ending. And I've got a couple of things. Definitely going to go see my dad. I think that's one of the first things I want to do. I want to visit my dad. I haven't seen him in a couple of months now. And not to mention, I'll stay up there. I'll probably take some time off, because believe it or not, I have not taken time off since this thing has started. I've been working, no PTO. I think I took 7 or 8 hours. I took 1 day of PTO since this whole thing began. I've got over 100 hours of PTO. It'd probably be a good idea to take some more PTO. But simply because I accrue it. And since I got the time off, it'd be kind of nice just to sit back and do nothing. But see, that's the thing is, I'm just not really, I'm pretty much a do-nothing guy anyway. I'm a homebody anyway. But what I'm thinking I might do is take some PTO just to go visit my dad. He's retired, so he doesn't do anything. And he likes when I come over, and we basically, I think he eats more when I'm there. So he kind of enjoys when I'm there. Now we're going to give this guy some hair. I think we're going to give him a kind of a old man. Oh no, we're not going to do that yet. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cut a jawline for him. I'm going to do that right here. So cut a little jawline. Okay, not a little bit too high here, but we're not gonna. We won't go too high. Yeah, you know what? I don't like that where that's located. Okay, let's put it back just a little bit. It's basically where the ear is going to be located. If I have an ear, I actually don't do this. But I'm not a master at ears, so I'm going to do it. And this is just a very deep pop cut. It comes right out. Now we'll do the same thing on this side. So go right here. Make sure it's not too high. Good. It's a very deep cut. But you know what I'm also thinking about is actually doing something fun. Like, I don't know. I've told you I'm a runner. I was actually... Oh, jeez, I'm really messing these arms up. Why are these arms so rickety? Okay. See, this is the problem. When you cut too much, you can actually cut into other parts of the body that you did not mean to cut into. And that's what I'm doing here. I was thinking a trip to Santa Barbara, maybe. I have some friends in Santa Barbara. I could maybe go visit them. Get away. And I mean, like, I can't actually, from San Diego, I wouldn't fly, but I'd, there we go. I wouldn't fly. I would actually, drive, or I'd actually take the train. I do enjoy the train. So I'd probably do that. But I even thought about a bigger trip, such as like San Francisco. Though my understanding, San Francisco is a real dump. So this is going to be his hair. He's going to have grandpa hair. And what we're going to do is put a little cut. Not too deep. We don't want it too deep. Got to be somewhat deep. And when you make hair, you have to cut the skull into the hair because the hair is on top of the skull. So you could technically leave them bald and just paint hair there, but it doesn't look three-dimensional. So we're going to cut the skull a little bit, and it's not much. This is pretty hard because you don't want it to be much. And I'm going to put on a glove here because this is where I do cut myself. I like Santa Barbara. I like traveling. What I'd like to do, and I'm actually getting trained for it, is get ready for another ultra marathon. I think it's time for me to do another ultra marathon. I started exercising. I am running, but it's really hard. I live in a very small place, so it's really hard to exercise here. My gym is closed. So, gym is closed, so I can't go to the gym. Normally, especially when I start running, I like to go to the gym and just run on the treadmill for a short period. So, since I can't do that, and then start a workout. Since I can't do that, now what I'm essentially doing is working out at home. At home isn't too bad to work out, honestly, because I don't need machines. I don't use machines. I do push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, planks, stuff like that. So it's not like I do anything really hardcore. This little guy's not cooperating here. But and I haven't run an ultra marathon since my son passed away, and I know that's probably why I haven't done it. I just think it's time to kind of get into that mode now where I actually move on a little bit and celebrate him by going out and doing a quick race. Well, they're never quick. It's a 24-hour race, and I really think it would help me. This year is going to be kind of a big deal. This year I finished paying my taxes off. So that's going to see how that works. Now and we'll clean that up later. Because there is some hair here. But that's okay. But now he's got hair. Got old man hair. And if I carved ears, I could do that, but I don't like ears. Now, one of the things you have to understand, this looks really different when it is actually painted. So it doesn't look like much when it's not painted, but it really does look good when it's painted. And we'll get all into that. So far, we've got the hands, the arms, the feet are carved correctly. Now, let's do the legs, and then we're going to call it for the night. Let's get this glove off. I think we've been going for a half hour. Yeah, we're already over 40 minutes, so that's a little longer than I like to do. I tell you what, let's call it now. So today, we got the head shaped up. We've got hair. We've got arms. His feet are fixed up. We talked about what we're going to do when the coronavirus isolation ends. Again, a couple of things. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at RunninFool, RunninFewl. You can listen to my podcast, which can be found on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Podcast Addict, and YouTube. Be aware that it is a political podcast, so there are politics. I don't really talk about politics here. And you can visit my website at www.dumbassestalkingpolitics.com. That is actually a podcast that is the blog about my website. I also have another blog, which I'm probably going to start kicking since I started doing this at reallysorefeet.com. I almost forgot. If you really want to get to know me personally, that's the website to hit. I'm actually going to start working on that website more. I haven't really been doing that. I've been basically concentrating on my blog. You've listened to Carving and Conversation. Have a good night.